to this story now. The Chinese community in South Africa says it's been a target of stereotype and prejudice due to the ongoing COVID-19 outbreak. The solidarity now, in solidarity with the Chinese community, members of the SA Jewish Board of Deputies will head to the Chinese markets in Bruma, that's here in Ekhurhuleni, to shop for their upcoming Purim Festival. Now, it says that this is to combat hatred, an important theme of the Purim Festival. To speak more on this, I'm joined by Wendy Khan. She is from the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. Wendy, thank you very much.
Good morning.
For waking up to talk to us.
Thank you so much.
What kind of prejudice have you seen thus far against the Chinese community?
I think we're all distressed. I think we all have a sense of fear and uncertainty as to how this is all going to play out globally. And that's acceptable, and I think that is normal. I think when that becomes and turns into prejudice and discrimination and stigmatizing a community, then we have to stand up and say no. We have to stand up and we have to say that it's not okay to find a community to scapegoat because we are feeling anxious and we are feeling uncertain. And we are seeing globally the most horrific situations coming out, not verbal, violent assaults. I'm not sure if you're aware that there have been cases in both the United Kingdom and in the United States of members of the Asian community, not just the Chinese community, being assaulted, being beaten up on underground trains. We've seen situations of signs being put up outside hotels in European cities saying, "We are not accepting Chinese people." This is reminiscent for my community of a very dark time in our history. And we cannot accept that, and we have to stand up and we have to speak out.
Bring it back home for us, Wendy. I heard about schools where children were somewhat being abused. Tell me what has been witnessed at schools, and talk to us also about something that I think was meant to happen some weeks ago, some kind of march to the Chinese sort of shopping center around here in Johannesburg, but apparently it was averted. Are these the kind of prejudices?
I'm not aware of that specific march, but I can say that we are seeing a really unpleasant verbal abuse and just trying to stay away from places where it's perceived that Chinese people will be. The China Mall, for example, where we'll be going later today, it's a ghost town. The Chinese communities where they are centered around Johannesburg, the streets are empty. We can't, as South Africans, stand by and not act out and not come to the support of the Chinese community.
You've got to repeat this for me. I can't. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
China Mall.
China Mall.
China Mall is a buzz with activity normally. Are you saying that there are no people shopping there?
It's like an absolute ghost town. And that's why our community are saying we want to come out and we want to show our solidarity and we want to show our support. Because we understand what it's like to experience prejudice, and we don't want another community in our country to experience that.
So talk to us about the Purim Festival, what it's about, and what kind of shopping are you going to be conducting at China?
So Purim is an interesting festival. It was a time in Shushan in Persia, which is now Iran, where the Jewish community, there was a call for the Jewish community to be exterminated. And there was a process of community members, in particular a very famous woman called Queen Esther, who stood up and saved the community. And that is, in essence, the story of Purim. We dress up on Purim, and that's how we come to the China Mall, because many of our community for many, many decades have gone and done our shopping there, bought our masks, bought our wonderful costumes, and we don't want this year to be any different. So we are going to be going there, and we're going to be buying our costumes, as we always do, and we are going to be presenting members of the Chinese community with our hamantaschen, which is a triangle pastry that we eat at this time of year, because that's what we do do. It's a festival of friendship, and it's a festival of saying no to prejudice, and it's a festival of saying, reaching out and saying, we want to be there for you in your time of distress.
And it's such an important message to drive home, particularly to citizens or to residents of Johannesburg.
I'm hoping it's just the beginning, actually.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's an initial act of friendship, but that it's going to be something that's going to be replicated throughout Johannesburg.
One final question, Wendy, against people, or should we say to people, who look at Chinese people suspiciously because they wear masks. We've seen this even before the outbreak of the coronavirus. Chinese people do wear these masks. Do you want to tell us maybe, if you are aware, why it is that they wear masks? Because it's something that I think they do.
Well, I think ironically, it's an incredibly, it's a way that they are showing friendship to us, to say, I have a cold, I'm not feeling well, I don't want to give my cold to you. I mean, that's something that we should all be doing, and it's a lesson that we've learned globally, that we should be washing our hands, that we should be looking out for other citizens to say, if I'm not feeling well, I don't want to share that with you. But what we should be sharing is friendship and standing up against all forms of prejudice. And right now, as I say, we should be using all the precautions. We should be washing our hands. We shouldn't be shaking hands. We should be listening to what our Minister of Health and what our Department of Health are telling us. But what we shouldn't be doing is stigmatizing people and showing discrimination towards them.
Wendy Khan, thank you very much for
joining us.
Thank you so
much.
She is from the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. Thanks indeed for your time.